life like that. Just growing up, I never had it physically, so I always just imagine.
Hey guys, how's it going? Velle Miller here, the host of the Wide World of Velle podcast. Um, Once again, getting back into it, it's going to be able to be more frequently um, to cover a lot of the different entities of mixed martial arts and other sports that I do feel passionate about, and some other topics as well. Uh, First things first, wanted to let everybody know had last weekend, July 14th, Jonathan Ivy's Cage Fight Championship 4. I didn't get the job done, lost by KO, TKO, a few seconds remaining within the very first round. That's how we learn and get better. There's things that I know that I need to do to be able to better prepare myself for this when it happens, my next fight. But of course, um, don't plan on stopping, doing it again, and also going to be actively competing in grappling tournaments as much as I can as well. Like I said, losses aren't what defines you; it's what you do from them. So, or and what you can learn from them. And also, with that is even though putting on a show and the great things that I was getting comments back and stuff, I've already been contacted by a few promoters that is interested in having me fight on a few of their cards. But at this time, I can't do that solely because there's other things that I know I need to take care of first before I'm worried about getting back into the cage. Grappling wise, that's fine. I could do that, but there's a lot of other things I want to shore up before I get in the cage again. I don't want it to be about a year and a half like it was last time, but I definitely will be getting back in there sooner than later. And then once again, as you can tell, we're doing this on the road. Just drop my kids off at school, head back to the house, get ready to get a workout in and all that as well. Also, without that fight card, I did have two of my two teammates get the job done. One of them won the fight within 30 seconds, and the other one put on a clinical performance defending his featherweight title. Jonathan Nichols and Jaime Vasquez got it done representing the academy. And once again, if you guys are ever in the greater Nashville area and want to check it out, um, that's a great place to go and train. Also, anything that's under the Team Sean Hammond's affiliation. If you're directly in Nashville, check out Nashville MMA. That's off Main Street. Also a great place to get a lot of good training in. A lot of world-class strikers and grapplers train there. Um, but all for naught, I did get good news on that Sunday morning after the fight. Is I have received my first type of brand sponsoring from Breakpoint Fighting Company. I'm going to be one of their brand ambassadors, representing the brand, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Looking forward to what happens after this. And then also, yesterday, I was notified by CK Fight Life. Um, I will be a brand ambassador for them as well. CK Fight Life, Contract Killer Fighting Company, another company that I will be looking forward to learning about their brand and representing as well. So, with all those further housekeeping notes out of the way, try to get to a couple of these rumors and things that are happening in the wide world of mixed martial arts. The first one that was just recently announced right before I started this venture back home is that the Bellator has announced that Fedor Emelianenko and Chael Sonnen will be fighting on their Long Island card You guys been keeping up with the Bellator MMA. They're doing a heavyweight Grand Prix to determine who will be the heavyweight champion. And quick highlights of the two fights, or their competitors in regards to getting to the semifinal round, is Chael Sonnen put on a wrestling clinic against Rampage Jackson, winning a unanimous decision victory over him earlier this year, back in January, I do believe. And Fedor Emelianenko ended up knocking out Frank Mir within the first round. Gave him one of his first wins on American soil in a very long time. So, quick synopsis of how I think this fight will play out. This was a favorable matchup for Chael. Rampage Jackson weighed closer to 260. When they fought, Chael was around the 220-ish range when they fought. So there was a distinct size advantage, but his wrestling was able to overcome, and he was able to avoid all the big shots and being able to take the guy down and control him. And Frank Mir, same thing. Frank Mir weighed in closer to 265 when Fedor fought him, and Fedor was also around like 230 or something. So there's still about 30-something pounds size difference there, and then he was able to catch him with a clean shot, put him out. But I know that it was noted, Frank Mir has really good jiu-jitsu off of his back, especially for a big guy. And he doesn't just really have a lot of big guy jiu-jitsu moves, even though he does have a submission named after him called the Mirror Lock, and a couple of snap, crackle, and pops with arm bars and Kimuras. But if he fought Chael with Chael's style, Chael wanting to get the fight to the ground, I believe that it would have ended up being a disadvantage for Chael, because even though he was on top with all his wrestling pressure and the ground and pound, I believe he could have got swept fairly easily by Frank if Frank ended up winning, and it'd have been a long night for Chael until eventually he probably would have ended up getting tapped. But now with Fedor, with them both being around the same weight and size, is to see what's going to happen with this fight. Now, Chael, I believe, will be able to take down Fedor. Not necessarily every time he wants to, but more often than not, especially because of Fedor coming from the Sambo style. Most of their style is in regards of trips and throws and stuff from the clinch. And wrestlers, we have a lot of clinch throws, but a lot of the higher level ones, they do singles and doubles. And when they go for a lot of the body lock clinches, they don't clinch up high like around the chest. They clinch lower around the stomach because they want to be able to control the hips and control which way a person is going. So, and on the feet, Fedor is known to, his chin is suspect as he's getting older in age, but he also does a lot of striking with his chin straight up in the air. And Chael hasn't knocked somebody out cold in a very, very long time. He's mostly on the ground, TKOs by them not being able to answer the strikes. So Fedor also likes to put on a good pace. He likes to press the pace and try to set the tone for the fight. He's also pretty good off his back. He has a lot of good arm bars and stuff as well. But the wrestling rides that Chael will put on him and the way he'll put his hips in certain positions, I think it'll be a lot harder for Fedor to be able to swing his hips around or do a lot of the things that he is attempting to do. Chael should actually get this fight done, and looking to be fighting the winner of Ryan Bader and Matt Mitrione. I think out of that side, Ryan Bader probably will get that done too. Because even though Matt Mitrione, he's not a bigger heavyweight as in weight wise. He is pretty tall, but I think with Ryan Bader not having to cut the weight, uh, and with Matt Mitrione also having a suspect chin, I do think that Ryan will get that done on that side. And then if Ryan wins, well, more or less, I believe Ryan will end up winning the heavyweight tourney. He's the youngest out of everybody who competed in the tournament, and is traditionally in the best shape. He's also the Bellator light heavyweight champion. Only thing I didn't like about him being in the Bellator tournament was the fact that he was, you know, the light heavyweight champion. So now that belt has been the beginning of 2019. So, with that being said, that matchup has not been announced when that fight will take place between Matt Mitrione and Ryan Bader. But we do know that the Fedor versus Chael fight will be coming up soon. I think it said it was like at the end of August, early September. I can't really remember right now. And he'll be in Long Island. I think it's the first time Bellator has actually been to Long Island. They'll probably put a lot of good other fights on that card that I'll be interested to check as well. Other Bellator news is that this has been going on for a while. They're trying to formally come up with a list of all the fighters who will be in the Bellator 170-pound tourney. Big interesting thing about it is Scott Coker came out yesterday and stated he is attempting to get all the fighters on board with every fight being 5 rounds, and that once the tournament starts, Rory's title will be on the line immediately. Rory McDonald is the Bellator 170-pound champion. Now, a couple things about that. Number one, I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's a terrible idea. And looking at the tournament format on how they're doing a lot of things, they are taking a very long time to get to the end result. With them having not as many events as the UFC has, but with them consistently going out and trying to set up these tournaments, you want the results to come quicker. You don't want these results to be taking a very long time to get done, because it doesn't benefit anybody when they do that. It should be solely focused on the fighter, the fighters, the end result, and how quickly can we get to that end result. There will be a lot of injuries with them wanting to do 5-round fights. Smaller weight classes tend not to have a lot of first-round finishes, I would say, when it comes to a lot of the elite guys, because everybody respects people's powers. You can move away, you can support shots a lot faster. But things like, for example, Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald has had a nose issue for a very, very long time. And because of his nose issue, what happens when his first fight, when his nose gets broken? Now, mind you, also, Rory is actually not supposed to be a part of the tournament until the beginning of 2019, because he is be fighting Gegard Mousasi at the middle or end of December for the 185-pound title as the first Bellator type of super fight. Because after Gegard put on that bachelor class against Rafael Carvalho, taking him down, submitting him short term, he immediately called out Rory. I guess this is a fight they've been both wanting for a very long time. It's very interesting to see how this fight goes. I think with the size difference with that, which is what we'll cover later when that fight gets closer to time, I think Gegard will end up getting it done solely because I don't think Rory would be able to take Gegard down once he starts catching those first couple punches. But anyway, back to the tournament. Douglas Lima will be in it. Andrei Korshkov will be in it. Now, both these people are former Bellator welterweight champions. I also kind of don't like that Lima and Korshkov were supposed to be the first match within the tournament. Uh, they've already fought twice before, and Lima has got it done. He got it done the first time, and then Korshkov got it done the second time. Actually, I think this might be the fourth fight between the two because I think Douglas Lima ended up. Uh, no, this would be the third fight between the two because Korshkov beat Lima, and then Lima ended up knocking out Korshkov. So I don't like that fight being so early. I would prefer that fight being later on. I think it draws more lure that way as a potential matchup that people are looking forward to see. Michael Venom Page is supposed to be in the tournament. There's a couple other guys that wanted Paul Daly to be in the tournament, but they couldn't get the contract done. And there's a couple other up-and-comer guys that they want to be involved in the tournament as well. Just highlight some of those the big guys on it. There'll be the first fight on Bellator's new streaming service called DAZN. Well, actually, they are a streaming service that's worldwide. There was kind of some pushback, which is understandable because with MMA, it seems like everything that we are looking at doing, they are putting behind paywalls. And so you want your sport to be more mainstream. You want your sport to be able to, for you to be able to access it without having to consistently pay for information or pay for fights or pay for the information. But it's just, more and more not happening. Just like you can see with ESPN Plus on the UFC side, back in January, they'll have a lot of their fight cards that'll be on ESPN Plus only. And so if you don't pay for that streaming service, you're not going to be able to have access to them. And the replays are also supposed to be on ESPN Plus, not actually on ESPN. And also, Ariel and the Bad Guy, Ariel Helwani, one of the most prominent MMA journalists that gives a lot of information that I get my information from. I'm sure a lot of you guys get your information from if you follow the sport. A lot of them, you have to be behind a paywall to get his information now too. Besides on Mondays where he still has his traditional show, it's not an Ariel Helwani show where it used to be the MMA Hour, which still goes on with a different host, Luke Thomas. But I'm still up in the air if I'm willing to pay for DAZN. Now DAZN offers a lot of other things besides mixed martial arts, so there's a lot of other sport shows that you'll be able to see and check out. So it could be interesting. This is actually supposed to be the first free event for DAZN. Now all the Bellator events from this point forward, once they air on DAZN, will be on there. So there will be no more Paramount Net TV network, from what I'm understanding about that. So we'll see. That's very interesting that they decided to go this route. Now, once they rebranded to Paramount, from what I was gathering from a lot of other sources in the MMA space, the rebranding typically ruined what Bellator was trying to do in regards to views and things like that, because that people that they were aiming towards to watch this channel was completely different than what originally was possibly decided on or possibly looked at. So this is how we're going to be able to keep our Bellator information, and it's something that's still worth checking out. And I believe they should have probably did something like ONE FC did. ONE FC has a free app that you can watch all these events in real time for nothing, hence the word free. And the good thing about DAZN is that the fact there will be no longer tape delays. So if you watch a lot of Bellator, you'll see a lot of times they're in the European markets and they end up airing it in America on tape delay. Well, now with DAZN, you'll be able to watch it live in real time. And then of course I always look to find out who won the fights way ahead of time, because I'm just too impatient to to attempt to wait till the night and have to not go to my local MMA sites for all the information I'm looking about the fights and everything like that. Uh, so that covers Bellator for right now. Coming up in a couple weeks, we'll get to this as it gets closer with the UFC. A few quick things about them. Uh, the UFC has UFC 227. It'll be Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw for the bantamweight title. Co-main is Demetrius Johnson versus Henry Cejudo. How it looks like they're setting up this fight right here is to have the winner of possibly the bantamweight title fight and the flyweight title fight compete against each other in another super fight, like they set up Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. Recently, it kind of goes back and forth that DJ is kind of interested in the fight if he wins, but he wants more money. Of course, TJ and Cody will definitely be interested in that fight. Quick notes about them. I believe what's going to happen is the fight with Cody and TJ, it showed me that TJ can take a shot, TJ can persevere. Now, mind you, there was a short time on the round when he got caught with that hand. He got lazy. When he got hit with that right, got the drop. But he was able to come back. He was able to change the game plan up and mix up kicks. What it seems like to me, and it will change, of course, they've had a long time that this fight's been building up, and they have a lot of training with each other, even though there was a lot of stuff that's changed since then, is that, to me, Cody will be able to plan for the kicks of TJ Dillashaw a lot better and his stance switching. Now, well, a lot of times when if you watch TJ fight, when TJ stance switches, there is a shuffling that he does with his feet, where he doesn't just switch stances like a lot of people do. You'll see him just like intermittently, they're just sitting there, they're just flowing, and then all of a sudden they'll throw a jab, and then they'll just step forward with the other hand like they're faking, and then they'll switch to southpaw. So he always seems to, he'll put his hands out, try to gauge distance, and he'll do this like little quick feet shuffle, and then he stance switches, and then he'll just sit there and do it again, and he stance switches. Now, that's the reason why I think he got caught with that right hand and ended up dropping him, is because there was a point at where both feet were off the ground at the same time when Cody fired that shot. When you see in the second round happen is he didn't do that as much, and when he stance switched off of kicks. So he was able to catch Cody eventually, because he was looking for the same openings that he had in the first round. It didn't happen because TJ was a lot more active with his kicks. Ended up dropping him with that left high kick, and then ended up pounding him out and getting the job done. This time when they fight again, TJ's going to TJ, Cody's going to Cody, with his fast hooks and his movement. But you can kind of look at Cody as, he came from boxing, and that's why he has really fast hooks and uppercuts and things like that. But even though with his back problems, being a smaller guy, you can kind of tell that he's kind of stiff and robotic with his upper body movement. And then you can look at his kicks as well, because he does throw kicks, but they don't seem as high as what they should be for somebody that's that small, that you would think it's a lot more flexible than what they actually are. And what does he do if he uses the IQ that was gathered when he fought Dominic Cruz? It could be an easy day for Cody. Cody may be able to land that good right hand again and get the job done. Now, problem is, what I think is, Team Alpha Male, when they helped Cody prepare for the fight against TJ Dillashaw, they used all the things that TJ did while he trained with him. But when TJ left and started training at Muscle Farm, now he has his own gym down in the Southern California area where they just trained over there. It's not like a formal gym; it's like a private gym. When they were over there, he changed his whole style in regards of how he was moving with Dwayne Ludwig. He started changing his style, uh, started using the kicks more, started using more speed. So the openings that they thought probably would be there when TJ started uh, messing with them or training with them weren't there. So now they need to go back and reevaluate all the film, evaluate what happened to let that right hand land early in the fight and what can happen now. Now, this time, I don't think there'll be a finish. I think they will end up going possibly the whole 5 rounds. They didn't wrestle a lot, and I think it's because of a lot of the animosity that they had towards each other, that they wanted to make sure they put hands on somebody and drop somebody. I'm interested to see who's the better wrestler of the two, um, because when you can control where the fight is going, um, you can kind of get a better idea. Now, mind you, we haven't really seen who's good up on their back. We've seen them being able to get up off their feet. Now, we got to see what happens when you get taken down. Can you get up? Or how is your jiu-jitsu off your back? Do you have any sweeps or different things like that, or any other type of attacks or any other positions that you can hold to get the job done? But we'll revisit this as it gets closer to time. It'll be August 4th is when this fight happens with them. Uh, it's a toss-up right now between the two. Depends on who prepares more, and we'll get back to that later. So Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson. I'll just run that through this real fast. Demetrius Johnson, everybody knows who he is. Best, probably pound for pound, best fighter in the world. Even though with the performance Daniel Cormier did against Stipe Miocic. Whereas Henry Cejudo has been revitalized since his loss to Demetrius Johnson. He's been working on his striking a whole lot. You see now he stands a lot more sideways. So it's harder for him to hit, easier for him to land shots, and also easier for him to kind of step in for his clinches and doubles and singles if he wants to hit them. I still don't think it's enough for him to be able to beat DJ. DJ stopped him with a knee to the body last time they fought in the very first round. And I think the problem with Henry is probably not his striking so much, it's the weight cut. Because he was having a lot of times cut down to 125, and he's a younger guy, so not necessarily tall for their weight class, but I think he's like 5'5" or 5'6". I think that Henry Cejudo, really what he needed to do was probably move back up to bantamweight, where he could eat as much as he probably wanted and use all his strength in wrestling to be able to take guys down and control them fairly easily. Now, mind you, I don't know how he would do with the TJ Dillashaws of the world with all that extra movement and stuff like that, but I think he would do probably fairly well against a Cody Garbrandt, maybe. I don't think he would be Dominic Cruz either, because Dominic Cruz is just a little bit too crafty. But there's a lot of bantamweights I think that Henry Cejudo could beat. He's beating these flyweights. He's able to keep his weight down, so maybe that would be interesting. But he's not going to beat Demetrius Johnson, in my mind, because there's still tendencies that you do naturally that he was able to exploit from the first fight. Demetrius Johnson came out and clearly stated, he said when Henry Cejudo looks for a rest within any round, he goes to clinch. And you see he does no punching, no knees, no nothing. He goes to the rest. So their game plan was when he goes to clinch, as soon as he goes to clinch, I'm throwing knees. I'm throwing anything I can impactful to go ahead and change the way that this fight is going to go. And he did it. And like you said, he was out there just fighting, and he ended up stopping him and saying, okay, I'm going to finish you, and finished him. He repeated more or less the same thing on Monday on Ariel Helwani's MMA show. and then he's not gonna have the power. He's not gonna have the speed. So he would have to really try to out wrestle DJ to get the job done. So, uh, you know, this one I can take probably for certainty again. I think DJ will get the fight done. Demetrius Johnson only seems to have problems with guys who are taller than him. Like when he fought Tim Elliott at the Tough finale, um, when his flyweight title was on the line. That's the only time when a bigger guy can actually try to put their hands on him and take him down and things like that, use their length. That's the only time DJ actually has problems. Now, mind you, that was only about the first round. After that, DJ got the job done, do what he needed to do, initiate the takedown himself, and he was fine. But Dominic Cruz did the same thing to him. So I don't think there's any flyweight, as long as they're shorter than him or close around the same height as him. Well, shorter than him is a big problem. But as long as you're around the same height as Demetrius Johnson, you don't have that long, lanky body. I don't think anybody will be able to give you problems. He'll be able to beat him. We'll cover, let's see here. Anderson Silva was found innocent of taking a tainted supplement. Well, it was found that he took a tainted supplement, but USADA, under their protocol, is you're responsible for anything that goes in your body. So they gave him a 1-year suspension retroactive to the time he took it. So Anderson Silva was supposed to be coming back in November, but he tested positive in October. There's a big thing about that, but Anderson said he's not worried about it. He's 42 years old. His career is probably almost over anyway. If I was Anderson, probably, I don't know, I would have came back after that horrific leg injury like he did. But I don't know how many more fights I would have did after that. Because I do believe Anderson Silva, he's won, I think it's 1, 2, and 1 no contest in his last few fights. Because he beat Derek Brunson, lost to Chris Weidman twice, and then he had a no contest against Nick Diaz. So yeah, that's right. 1, 2, and 1 no contest. They ain't got nothing else to prove. We might as well go ahead and hang it up if I was him. Go out and coach. His son looks very nasty in the BJJ world. He might end up being, coming up and doing MMA. So look forward to Anderson Silva's son if he decides to go along that path. Even if you like good competitive grappling, that's still worth checking out as well. I think that is all of the notes that I wanted to cover today. Because this part right here has been talked until everybody's blue in the face. Is when when Daniel Cormier beat Stipe Miocic, Brock coming in the ring, pushing him, it's like staged and things like that. And Stipe is now clamoring for the rematch, stating that he didn't get a chance to talk to the DC in the cage, that they hurried up and ushered him out. Later on today, possibly, or maybe in a few hours or so, I will go over some of the stuff that has happened in regards to the NBA, free agencies, crazy trades, things like that. Like I said, I want this, the Wild World of Velle is going to be covering a lot of different things, political things, or climate change, or whatever I feel like talking about. Appreciate everybody who takes the time to check this out. Once again, want to thank CK Fight Sports and Breakpoint Fight Company for giving me this opportunity for me to be one of your brand ambassadors. I'm rocking one of their shirts right now. Posted on my social media at 37mode. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at that same name. So once again, it's at 37mode. The word 30, the number 7, MODE. Mike Oscar Delta Echo, for you guys who know about the phonetic alphabet. And you can see things that I'm doing in the jiu-jitsu community, or in the mixed martial arts community. Love to compete. I was going to compete. And once again, guys, this is how you become legendary, and greatness is earned.